Good day, everyone! We are the Group 2.
So for today, we are going to report about the kayaking and the paddleboarding.
First is the kayaking. The kayak has been around for centuries. It was first used by the Inuits in the Arctic regions for navigating waterways. It was a pragmatic way to hunt, fish, and transport passengers across the water. It is easy to access and basic functionalities have made it in the burgeoning recreational activity known around the world today. All bodies of water are open for kayaking. Oceans, rivers, lakes, and everything in between can be navigated by kayak. In general, the kayak is a sleek boat that has a few limits, though high traffic waterways may be off limits for kayaking to avoid boating accidents. For example, makita nyo sa Mabinay Springs ang una, may kayak. So, ang kaya niya lang na ipasakyan sa kayak is 2 person. It is because kung maglapaw sa 2 person or mag 3 or more, may tendency na magkaya or magkulog ang kayak so that ang passenger sa kayak madagdag sa tubig or hindi tamabalan kung malunod sila. So amo na ang reason nga few limits lang ang makasakay sa kayak. It is because na to avoid man sang boating accidents. Here are some equipment for a kayaking adventure. Kayak. This is the narrow watercraft that you sit in. Without it, you're just swimming with a stick. Double-bladed paddle. Welding your wind resistant or pushes you through the water with ease and is a vital tool for a kayaking excursion. Isa man na siya ka-tool nga para makalakad ang imong kayak ang paddle para magamuang ka na. Hindi ka makalin sa tubig kung wala ka sina. Pero protecting the head is a no-brainer. And being out on open water is the perfect time to flaunt your headgear. Life jacket. Every type of water sports poses the danger of going under, and wearing a life jacket is a logical step to keep you afloat. Safety goggles. If you will be paddling out into challenging waterways, splash protection may be necessary to keep your field of vision free to spot potential hazard.
Kayaking allows you to experience an area like a local, learn extensively about the flora and the fauna and around the water, and have an overall incredible time. A guide will direct you towards the proper equipment and technique for your particular program. In these insights enhances the trip in ways that are invaluable.
Next is paddleboarding. So the paddleboarding is originated in Hawaii, seeing sporadic use over decades before their popularity took off in the early 20th century. Whereas most paddleboards closely resemble their Hawaiian ancestors, kayaks have been morphed into a huge array of shapes and style with only a few seriously hardcore models remaining true to their Inuit roots. A sports in which you travel across water or rides on the waves using a board which you can sit or stand on and sometimes paddle. So the paddleboarding kuno amo ni siya kuno ang sports nga kung sa diin gagamit ka sang board, surfboard abala or gani ano lang, tapos gagamit ka man sang paddle. So the paddleboarding is a sport in which a person rides on the surface of the water in a prone or kneeling position on a surfboard like board, or standing and using an oar for propulsion. The purpose of the paddleboarding is as a purely recreational sport, and the purpose of this is to enjoy the experience of traveling over the water by means of some system of self-propulsion. So in competitive paddleboarding, the object of a sport is to cover some given distance on the water at a faster time than all of one's competitors. So it means that ang purpose ko sa paddleboarding, more likely ikaw ang ga-exert sang power mo sa nga sports. I mean, ginatagan mo gid siya bala sang effort or gani force kung mag-paddle ka na. Next. Here are some equipment in paddleboarding. So the first one is a 14 paddleboard. A paddleboard of 14 feet or 3.8 meters in length. Amo na siyang ginagamit ng tungtunganan. Next is the kneeling paddleboarding. Ang kneeling paddleboarding, amo na siya ang paddleboarding ginagamit siya mag-kneel ka sa board. While ang prone paddleboarding, amo naman na siya ang naka-prone position or naga-face down on the board. Ang stand-up paddleboarding, amo naman na siya ang ginagamit nga paddleboarding, nagatindog ka. Gatindog ka samtang ara ka sa board. Or like, ano ni siya ganing isa niyo? Ang number nila? Canoe-like. Canoe-like paddle for propulsion. Training and conditioning. So, ang sa training conditioning mahimo sang paddleboarding is for recreational paddleboarding can be reasonably limited to the type of exercises one uses for any physical activity such as stretching and simple warm-up exercise. So, pwede siya may use as a stretching or simple warm-up na ginangaton nga lawas, ma-stretch.
The difference between the kayaking and the paddleboarding, the kayaking has two-bladed paddle, while the paddleboarding is a single-bladed paddle. And ang sa kayaking, gapungko siya, while the paddleboarding, pwede man siyang gapungko siya, but mostly ang ginahimo sa sinang activity is ang gatindog.
And that's all for today. Thank you and goodbye.